Yeah, very warm welcome along to Off-Tube studio-based commentary on this Premier League match this evening. Leaders Manchester City at home to 14th place Brentford. And the Bees with probably a tough night ahead of them. Man City, of course, only drew their last match away at Southampton despite pushing very hard for the winner late on in that game. And they thumped Fulham at this ground, the Etihad Stadium at the weekend. So they're back on good form. They've made changes as well. Pep Guardiola making those 5 changes that we just detailed, but still plenty of star quality on the field as Brentford get us underway in their red and white stripes, black shorts and black socks, going all the way back to David Raya, who sends a long ball forward in the direction of his forwards. He's out to hit it though, he's out hit them, and the ball's passed back to Ederson, and City begin at square one. So I'm Simon Barlow, joined by Paul Szczerbakowicz for this fixture, and of course Brentford, a club close to your heart, Paul. Can they get anything tonight?
Well, I think that the smart money would say probably not really, because Manchester City have won their last 8 home games in a row. Brentford, on the other hand, have lost 8 of their last 10 games in all competitions. So it's not looking good for the Bees. They've made a few changes, perhaps conserving a few players for games coming up in the next few weeks. Godos isn't really a striker. He's more of a winger, but he's been given the role of playing up front tonight. Yeah,
he'll have to work hard to try and keep those Manchester City defenders from passing through the lines as City get the ball to De Bruyne now, the Belgian on the right-hand side of the midfield. The man finds Mahrez, who comes back in on his stronger left foot. Plays it back infield to Stones, who's pushed up high in the Brentford half. Now on to Diaz and Cancelo. Cancelo has started left-back, actually. I was led to believe he'd be at right-back. So there is a slight change to the advertised City defensive formation. Ruben Diaz now chips a ball forward into the heart of the Brentford box. It's headed away and should be cleared now by the Bees, and it goes out for a throw-in. Norwich have scored an early goal at Crystal Palace in another 7:45 kickoff tonight in the Premier League. So it's Timo Pukki who's got the Canaries off to a flying start in that fixture.
Yeah, good start that for Norwich, as they're still trying to... if results stay as they are, they'll actually be out of the relegation zone this evening.
Ethan Pinnock with a long throw down the line. It's headed back infield by Stones and actually goes out of play for another Brentford throw. Thomas Frank watching on from the technical area, chewing furiously. I'm sure he's got his team set up tactically the way he wants, just if they can execute his game plan as ball's headed away in midfield. A rather elaborate back flick there by Canos doesn't quite come off, and Manchester City pick it up again through Rodri.
Yeah, well, the point you made about Thomas Frank organising his side, it's what every manager does when they arrive at the Etihad. That you have a plan, don't let City score inside the first 5 to 10 minutes, but of course it's easier said than done once you're out on the pitch, and City already dominating in terms of the possession.
Long ball forward from Cancelo is swept out to the right-hand side where Henry gets the header in. He's trying to keep this one in, but no chance of doing that, and it's out for another throw. Yeah, Fulham's game plan seemed to be working early on at the weekend, didn't it, in that FA Cup tie when Fabio Carvalho scored, but within about a couple of minutes, City were level, and then a few minutes later they were ahead. It was just one of those days where Fulham had their chance as the ball goes into the Brentford penalty area and it's collected by keeper Raya. You know, Fulham had their chance, but they didn't hold on to the lead for long enough.
No, they didn't. It's almost like they poked the bear, didn't they, by scoring an early goal, and that almost angered City even more, and then they made sure that they really got the job done throughout the 90 minutes. But it's good news for Brentford that David Raya is back. Most pundits were expecting him back. I say that, a poor clearance from him, the ball got dropped straight to Foden. Mahrez now with a chance, but potentially there was an offside flag. But commentators curse. I was just saying how good it is to see Raya back in the Brentford team, and he made a real mess of that.
Yeah, slightly underhit pass out to the left-hand side, which Mahrez headed back infield. As he did so, it was Foden who was offside in a sort of centre-forward position. And Raya, although he did sort of redeem himself there by blocking Foden's eventual shot, I think even Foden knew he was offside there, and the flag duly went up. So 3.5 minutes gone, still goalless at the Etihad Stadium as Raya takes the free kick, and it skews out to the left-hand side right-hand side of Brentford's formation, and now there's a foul on Raheem Sterling. So just a bit of a dodgy start kicking-wise for David Raya in this game.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why Brentford fans were happy to see him back in goal, is the fact that his distribution is so much more consistent than, in theory, than Alvaro Fernandez, who was deputising for him. But of course, Raya really was expected to be out until the end of March at least. So the fact that he's back in early February means that he might just need a little bit more time to get match fit.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out whether John Stones is playing right back, or are they playing a back three tonight?
City rarely play a back three, but it seems like they have set up like that. As De Bruyne puts a good cross in, a chance for a header, but it's just wide. It was Foden in that striker's role. There's not actually a striker on the pitch for either side this evening, but Foden does have the number 9 role here for City.
Yeah, it was a lovely teasing ball in by De Bruyne's right foot, and Foden got in the centre forward position, or more or less on the penalty spot, headed it away from the keeper, but just wide of the target. But yeah, I'm still trying to work out what John Stones' role is. It's sometimes City do play with a right back that sort of plays sort of false full-back, if you like, and goes into midfield. And John Stones has been doing a lot of that in the opening 5 minutes of this game. I'll have to see what it is, where his positioning is when Brentford have the ball, but they haven't been able to get it significantly inside the City half. Now as Mahrez plays it back, and Stones in that sort of orthodox right-back position knocks it back to keeper Ederson. Ederson plays it out to Rodri. It's on the edge of the D. Now he sweeps it back out to Stones. Yeah, it looks like a right-back role for him as he creeps towards a halfway line. Finds Mahrez, who just about keeps it and plays it off the legs of Jensen. And that will be actually, no, it's come off Mahrez last. That will be a throw-in to Brentford. So the Bees have possession with Pinnock knocking it forward. It's taking a deflection there off De Bruyne, closing him down, and goes out for a throw. Referee tonight, Darren England. And, of course, Brentford hoping there aren't any controversial refereeing decisions in this one, as a long clearance from Raya is a good one, actually, and it releases Godos over the top. He's going to try and outpace Diaz, but slips at the vital moment and gives the Portuguese defender the ball. Now he's being pressed by Henry. Plays it down the line to Mahrez. A good pressing here from Brentford, trying to force a mistake from Manchester City, but they do find a route back to goalkeeper Ederson in the end. They
do. It's a shame because Godos, in my view, there he did the harder thing right, which was to control that ball, that long pass there from Raya, take it down into a bit of space. But just as he was turning at the edge of the area, he lost his footing, and City now back in possession, pushing forward with John Stones.
Yeah, Stones back into Brentford territory. Knocks it back to Laporte. And the left-footed centre-back finds Cancelo inside the Brentford half, approaching the sort of middle of the Bees territory, but he goes back to Laporte, and now Stones playing very centrally, trying to thread it through. Foden is after it, but the Brentford defence stands firm, and a clearance eventually comes from Pinnock, which is headed back by Stones, and City take up possession once more. It's like a thankless task, isn't it, for those two forwards, Canos and Godos, trying to chase down the City defenders when they're outnumbered, and they're going to have a lot of the ball, the City players.
Well, City defenders are almost like midfielders in terms of how confident they are on the ball, and that's going to be a problem, Brentford, to keep those energy levels up, as here comes City now with Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling, a little nutmeg there on Yeka, but the Nigerian gets the ball back here and tries to move it towards halfway. A little bit of a loose pass there behind a teammate coming up that right-hand side. It was Roerslev, and it goes out for a Man City throw. They've got to make the most of those little moments where they have possession.
They do. I mean, that's a 5-yard pass inside your own half. You can't give the ball away in that sort of position. Onyeka had worked hard to win the ball back in the first place.
So, City back in possession with Mahrez now out on this right wing. The Algerian, wearing gloves tonight, plays it back to Stones. Brentford sat in a formation, a 3-5-2, pretty flat 5 in midfield as well, just trying to push out now as City go back into their own half. Laporte takes over once more, the former Athletic Bilbao defender, into the City half. Foden comes short for a link-up pass out to Cancelo. Mahrez is trying to ghost into the box as well. It's gone all the way through, though, to Raya, who clutches it to his chest, flops on the deck, and will be able to just settle that Brentford side down again.
Yeah, well, Cancelo, some of his distribution this season really has been excellent, and we've seen a couple of great assists he's had from that left-hand side as well. So it makes sense that Guardiola started with him on that left-hand side. On that occasion, though, the ball to Foden just a little bit too long. Brentford, to their credit, they are trying to play out from the back, although they're forced to clear it long now, and they give it away to City anyway. Yeah,
just a bit of a gap there, isn't there, between the forwards and the midfield, which City are able to pick up possession there on the first knockdown. So maybe something Frank will try and address there. He's getting some instructions across to Jensen, who's being told to shuffle over to the opposite side. Now it's with Laporte. Out it goes to Cancelo. His pass is blocked by Roerslev. Canos comes short and then tries to knock it back to his teammate, and eventually wins a throw-in off Raheem Sterling's feet. So Brentford starting the day 14th in the Premier League, 7 points clear of the bottom 3. But as we heard, Norwich leading against Crystal Palace could make things interesting for a few teams. Probably just a little bit below Brentford, the likes of Leeds United, And maybe Crystal Palace could get dragged into things if Norwich were to win tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Palace at one stage looked a little bit of a slow start for them under Patrick Vieira. Then they seem to really pick up a bit of form. And just the last few games, again, they just seem to be tailing off a little bit. Aston Villa against Leeds, an 8 o'clock game. But City have taken the free kick short. Sterling into the box. His cross is charged down there by Ayer, and it's out for a throw.
Yeah, a little quick free kick routine there. Didn't quite come off for City, but they've got the ball back from a throw. Playing it to Rodri now. And now Stones, about 30 yards out, just keeping it going wide right to Mahrez. Comes in on his left foot, knocks it back to Stones. He delivers across, high to the back post. Roerslev gets the flick. It's going to be kept in by Bernardo Silva, close to the corner flag. Dribbling infield, finding Sterling. Forced in on his... he is on his right foot, which is his stronger side anyway. Comes back to Stones. And now Mahrez coming off the front three again. Got 3 red and white shirts for company, and it's not really a forward pass, so has to go square. But City are pass masters. They remain patient, even in the most pressurised of times, and this can hardly be seen to be that at the moment. 0-0 inside the first 11 minutes of this Premier League fixture. Brentford have won it back, though. Numbers in the middle of the park got them a sniff of the ball there, and they've won a throw-in as well off the challenge of Cancelo.
Yeah, trying to keep the energy levels up here, Brentford. What they're trying to do is just flood their half of the field to make it as difficult as possible for City. We've seen a couple of long ball attempts already from Cancelo and De Bruyne as well. But the question for Brentford is, what do they do when they're in possession? With the limited amount of possession they're going to have, are they going to be able to actually get forward?
Ayer with a strong header will reach Canos, but he's just drifted offside there as the ball was collected on his knee. Right next to the linesman who had the flag up. So City have a free kick inside their own half. Yeah, a lot of teams have found it hard to hurt Manchester City when they've got possession, because City are so quick to close them down and squeeze the space, almost strangle a man in possession and get it back, and then the turnover helps them in their offensive organisation. The ball from Cancelo is blocked. It might reach Bernardo as a flying hack comes in there from Henry. The referee's seen a foul or a handball possibly from Bernardo.
From Bernardo. It was a little bit unlucky. I think he wasn't necessarily trying to use his hand, but it certainly helped him there. That's what convinced Darren England that it should be a free kick to Brentford, a chance to at least try and send it closer to that City penalty area.
Yeah, looks like David Raya is going to take this free kick, very central inside the Brentford half. No Ivan Toney tonight, slight calf injury. He played in the defeat to Everton on Saturday. Ball forward from goalkeeper Raya is flicked on by Pinnock, but won't reach Onyeka and goes out for another.
Scored in the game
throw.
as well from the penalty spot in what was a 4-1 defeat for Brentford in the end. Some really poor defending from the Bees in that game as well, and that's something that certainly would have had Brentford fans thinking about to the game this evening. Because as I say, if you can have your best defensive night and City can still score.
John Stones is just working out where to throw this ball in. Brentford are trying to press here, deep in the City half. It gets to Mahrez, who tries to flick it on. It will reach Foden. He lofts a volley pass out towards Sterling, who's one-on-one with Ayer. Ayer doing his best to use his strength there, but Sterling gets his body in the way, shields it nicely, and recycles it for the supporting Cancelo. Bernardo gets a touch back to the Portuguese. Cancelo, and then Bernardo again. Cancelo approaching the edge of the box, finds Foden on the half turn. Back to Rodri, forced further back there by pressure from the Bees midfield. They get it out to De Bruyne. He's had a quiet start to this game. Finds Rodri. He chips the ball into the box. Fairly aimless ball, but it might reach Sterling, lurking out towards the left of the penalty box on his right foot, trying to knock it back. Edge to Cancelo. Won't take a shot. He's gone back on the outside, then back to the inside, puts a cross into the far post. Henry was wide awake to the situation and heads it behind for a corner.
Needed to do that there, Rico Henry, because stood just behind him was Riyad Mahrez. And again, City just really building up some pressure at the edge of this Brentford penalty area. João Cancelo wanted to get a shot away, closed down by Jensen, did put the cross in eventually, headed away by Henry, and it's Mahrez standing over it.
Mahrez just complaining that two Brentford players are within the 10 yards of the corner quadrant. This is an interesting move here. They're trying to stop the short corner, I think. Corner comes in from Mahrez, and there's a lot of traffic in there, but it's headed up in the air by Janssen and flicked on by Onyeka. Could be a break on it. Godos has played a nice ball to Canos, who crosses the halfway line. Godos is up alongside him if he can play the right pass, and he got it all wrong with the outside of his boot. The Spaniard, it's gone straight to Ederson.
Well, that's about 15 or 20 yards away from where Godos was stood. He's tried to sort of thread it through, as you say, with the outside of the boot. It's a shame because it was a good chance there for Brentford to go on the counter, having dealt with that corner fairly quickly.
Yeah, so counter-attacks are going to be a key part of this game. They were at the weekend in the Fulham match as well for Manchester City, where Manchester City scored with a counter-attack after Fulham had counter-attacked them on a couple of occasions as well. It was becoming like a bit of a basketball game towards the sort of middle of the second half of that match, as Brentford get the ball away. Play goes down, looking for a free kick. Henry still prone on the grass as Brentford play on here with Canos. Challenged by De Bruyne, but manages to flick it through. And then there's a foul by Jensen in there on Cancelo. The referee has now blown up, and that will allow Henry to get back to his feet. And he seems to be just limping a little bit as he jogs back to his defensive station. Yeah,
I don't think the referee was ever really considering a free kick for what he thought was just a collision there with no foul on Rico Henry. And City, again, the possession stats must be going very strongly in City's favour.
Yep, they have the ball out on the left again with Sterling. He's up against Roerslev, threatens to go on the left, then comes back on his right. Finds Cancelo. And now Diaz. Simple pass to Stones. And then it's moved on to Mahrez. He goes infield to Rodri, takes it under pressure, bounces off Onyeka, but Brentford have stolen the ball back now with Godos running into a bit of a cul-de-sac. He finds Canos. Godos not able to collect that ball, fizzed into his toes there, and City have it back. Rodri, though, was the man who gave it away and couldn't get back goal side on that last Brentford attack. Now Foden, his pass intercepted by Roerslev, who was lying in wait, and he drives forward into the City half again. He's got two players for company. Foden was one of them. He's done well there to play it off the legs of, I think it was Laporte for a Brentford throw.
Yep, just creeping into the Manchester City half there, although Roerslev's throw goes a long way back towards Janssen. He then plays it to Jensen, who's coming back from an offside position. And for the second time in a couple of minutes, Brentford had at least half a chance to keep some possession in the City half and may make a real mess of it. And we can see Thomas Frank isn't happy with this either.
Yep, Roerslev is certainly feeling the ire of Thomas Frank there for that back throw when he should have gone forwards. I think everybody in a Brentford shirt was surprised he played it back there, and Janssen didn't want it either. He just slammed it forward, and then they were offside. Anyway, yeah, City have possession again. 16 and a half minutes gone. Bernardo's had a quiet start to the game. So too is De Bruyne. Really just one decent cross from him and a header from Foden to show for his opening quarter of an hour. Here is Cancelo over on the left-hand side. He's got Sterling further that way, but goes back infield now to Diaz. He opens his body up with a right-footed pass to De Bruyne, then further wide to Mahrez, who's going to attack Henry here. Little lollipop, tries to get the cross in, but the ex-Walsall defender blocks it, and it's out for a throw. Tottenham have scored against Southampton in the Premier League 7:45 game there. And Bournemouth lead Birmingham as well in the Championship.
Yeah, it was Heung-min Son that got the goal for Spurs there against Southampton.
Sterling, little nutmeg, and he's been wrestled to the ground by Roerslev. Roerslev saying he couldn't do much about that. Sterling sort of tackled him, but the referee's seen it the City Stars way and has given the home side a free kick about 30 yards out over on the left.
There's no real way for defenders to avoid that, is there, unless they literally dive out of the way and let the player go past them. Roerslev can't really do much more. He's trying to get onto the ball, gets nutmegged, and then the only way he could avoid a free kick there is if he actually jumps out of the way.
So, free kick is in a position to cross, really. De Bruyne stands over it as the right-footed option. He leaves it for Foden, the left-footed way-swinging delivery to the back post, and Henry's there to head it behind for another corner.
Yeah, another set piece coming up here for Manchester City once again. Henry, arguably the shortest defender in the Brentford 11 this evening, in the right place to head that away for a corner.
Again, Brentford, they've got two players in attention for a potential quick corner or a short corner. And that's going to stop Mahrez from doing that again. Last time he put the ball into the penalty area. And now what's happened here? The referee has called a halt to proceedings because he's seen some jostling or something inside the penalty area between Laporte and Jensen. Maybe there was a bit of grabbing, shirt tugging or something like that. And he's called a halt to proceedings. But now the corner can be taken. Riyad Mahrez, the left-footed delivery. As Rodri tries to run round the back. It's aimed towards the back post, but headed up in the air by Janssen. Brentford get the next header in as well from Onyeka. It's flicked on by Canos. Could be a counter-attack here. Henry took it off the boot of Norgard there, I think, so that falls back to City, deep in the Brentford half. Long ball forward from Sterling is fairly telegraphed, and it's headed away by Henry. Drops to Stones, who goes back now to Diaz on the halfway line. City in their attacking shape with the wingers sat very wide, Foden in the centre, supporting midfielders trying to run between the Brentford centre-backs as well as Mahrez plays into the penalty area for one of those runs by Bernardo, who puts the ball in and it's blocked by Pinnock behind for another corner.
Yeah, Brentford still asking the question of the linesman of an offside. The flag hasn't gone up. I think there was an offside there. Pinnock needed to be in the right place at the right time there. And now it looks like the linesman's agreeing with Mahrez here that the Brentford players are getting just a little bit too close here to the corner kick taker.
Yeah, De Bruyne is over there as a right-footed corner option, but it is going to be Mahrez again who hits this one in towards the back post. In fact, it's come out to the edge of the penalty area, but it's not sat up well for Sterling to hit, and so he puts another cross in from a different area. It might find De Bruyne, whose cross comes back off the legs of Norgard, but the referee's seen an offside flag up against De Bruyne, I think, and that's going to be a free kick to Brentford. Yeah,
shake of the head there from De Bruyne. He doesn't believe that was the right decision. After Mahrez played this ball, you're absolutely right. It was meant to be for Sterling to try and hit that straight towards goal, just sort of angled away from him. I'd say, De Bruyne... Yeah, I'd say that his body's just leaning offside. I'd say his legs are probably level with the Brentford defenders there, but it was very close.
Big call, that, from the linesman, isn't it? Ultimately, it's not really changed anything. They would have had a corner, maybe. It wouldn't have been anything VAR would have checked because it didn't lead to a goal, but he's looking along the line, the referee, and there's about 10 bodies there, aren't there, between De Bruyne and the man on the far side who might have been playing him on.
Yeah, I just wonder if that's because linesmen seem to always wait for the call now, don't they? Wait for the VAR confirmation before they put the flag up, but on that occasion, it seems like the linesman may have made his mind up himself.
Yeah, well, probably the linesman's union will say, well, that's good that we've still got brains that we can use rather than all being done by technology these days.
Absolutely. When you think that Premier League linesmen, if they were suddenly asked to do a championship game, for example, would they feel confident? Because, of course, there's no VAR assistance there. So it's good that they can still make their own mind up sometimes. Brentford
have given away a free kick away now deep in City's half. Hands-on, I think, the City player, Rodri, as he tried to clear that ball. Eventually it's come back from the dugout area. Pep Guardiola looks a bit quizzical about things on the pitch at the moment. Don't think he's too upset. There are not too many furrowed lines. Oh, there are now, actually, as we see another shot of him. Maybe he is a bit worried that Brentford have held out for the first almost quarter of this match. Now it's still goalless at the Etihad Stadium.
And plenty of work for the Brentford defenders, but not really too much work for David Raya so far.
No, I think they have definitely got a game plan here, and that is to be solid, with a back five, essentially, not get caught out. As a ball forward here that might catch City out there as Jensen gets onto it and behind the City defence. Jensen, can he do something? Goes for goal, it's tipped over by Edison, and there was Brentford's first chance. The flag does go up eventually, so it would have been offside.
Yeah, just a little bit of a delayed offside flag there, but it looks as though Matthias Jensen was just in an offside position. Yes, he is, just behind... I think it's Stones who's playing. It's Diaz, in fact, I should say. He's the one playing everyone on the side, or close to playing everyone on side. It's a decent effort, but it was also well saved.
Yeah, we have reached that quarter point in the game now, midpoint of the first half, where it's still goalless at the Etihad Stadium. And to take you through to half-time, Paul Szczerbakowicz.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, it's 1-1, by the way, at Spurs. Tottenham 1, Southampton 1. It was actually now Bednarik own goal that had given Spurs the lead rather than Son. And now Armando Broja, impressive forward playing for Southampton this season. He's got the equaliser there, but it's still goalless here at the Etihad City, as you would expect, with the lion's share of possession, as De Bruyne puts an early ball in from the right-hand side. Far too close to David Raya, though. And Raya just urgently getting some messages out to his players as well. It's always real pressure when I think for the smaller teams when they come to a stadium like the Etihad to stay organised. It's almost like you feel as though every pass matters just that little bit more.
Yeah, it's it's one of those games when you just have to be solid in defence and do your jobs, and don't get downhearted if the brilliance of City still, gets a goal. Stick to your game plan. Don't, divert from what you were told to do at the start of the game, and be disciplined and try and, just try and get something.
Absolutely. I can say we've got a goal at Villa Park as well. And Leeds United have taken an early lead. I say an early lead because that was an 8 o'clock kickoff. The game also available on our service. But City now playing out from the back here as Edison finds Foden. De Bruyne goes through and plays that first time over towards Mahrez on the right-hand side. Mahrez with not too many options, forced to switch play now as João Cancelo arrives at the left-hand edge of the penalty. He gets away from Jensen, tries to get away from Roerslev, puts a cross in, but he was always too close to Raya, who makes an easy save.
Yeah, disappointing cross there. City may be lacking a little bit of a left foot. Obviously they've got Mahrez, who plays on the right and is a very very good left foot. But on that right-hand side, they've got Sterling who'll come in, and they've got Cancelo, who is right-footed, and he's trying to put cross in with his wrong foot there, and they just don't quite have the quality of a left footer on that side.
No, they've got a couple of left-footed options on the bench, have City. There's Zinchenko for one, but he just seems to have gone down the pecking order a little bit. It seemed like he was being sort of moulded into being that sort of a left-footed defender and midfielder on that in the defensive four, but he just seems to have fallen out of the side, partly I think because João Cancelo has been playing so well this season. But here comes John Stones on the right here for Manchester City, runs straight into Christian Norgard, thrown out to City down the right-hand side. Stones sending this one back towards Ruben Diaz. 25 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Goalless here between Manchester City and Brentford. It was Dan James that had given Leeds United an early lead away at Villa Park. But here comes City now with João Cancelo in towards Sterling, back towards Laporte. City can afford to pretty much have their defenders join here as midfielders as they're in possession. Stones now heading towards the edge of the penalty area. Goes over towards João Cancelo. He's got an overlap there down the left from Bernardo Silva. Back to Cancelo. Silva goes on the overlap. He has got a left foot, but Ayer is there. He slides in and he puts it out for a corner.
Yeah, they're just starting to pick a few holes in the Brentford defence now. That was just a slight chink of light that they exploited there, as in the end Ayer had to really put the afterburners on for him and make that clearance right at the feet of Bernardo.
It's a good challenge there from Ayer. Corner kick to City on the left-hand side. Right-footed De Bruyne stood over it, but Foden is there as well, potentially for an outswinger. It's De Bruyne who swings it in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Good strong header away by Pinnock, but then Godos and Canos both left it to each other, and eventually Canos clears this towards the halfway line. Godos chasing it down, but Sterling is there first. He goes back towards goalkeeper Ederson. Just slows things down, waits for everyone to get back into their positions across the middle of the park, and now it's with Rodrigo. Manchester City won't mind this, of course, because they're used to teams coming to the Etihad and setting up like this. They just know that with all the possession they've got, they can patiently try and wear teams down.
Yeah, that's true. But as the longer it goes on, the longer the more the anxiety will build in the crowd and on the pitch.
No, you're right. And there was a period. I'm not sure you could say it about City this season, but certainly last season and the season before, there was a thought that if you sort of survive the first 20-25 minutes against City, then part of that sort of energy would just sort of fall away, and you'd have more of a chance. I think City have since then just become a little bit more ruthless throughout the 90. But here come City again with Mahrez right-hand edge of the penalty area, looking for Stones, who'd got forward, but he's blocked off by Matthias Jensen. He tries to find Sam Godos. Ruben Diaz slides in, and it goes out for a throw to Brentford down the left-hand side. Just a welcome moment of possession here for the Bees.
One thing I would say so far is that Riyad Mahrez doesn't fancy it against Rico Henry tonight. He's had the ball in that position, not quite one-on-one, because there's always a little bit of help not too far away, but he's not even really tried to take him on yet. It's always, he sort of takes the ball, advances it a few yards, passes inside. Those sort of passes, that kind of approach from Man City is not going to hurt Brentford at all tonight.
No, it's not. And Henry is a good defender, but I would say that Mahrez should be confident in taking Henry on. It's because Henry, I think, is a quick defender as well. He's certainly got the pace to try and stay with Mahrez. As Brentford make a little bit of a mess of their own possession there. Pinnock put it out for a throw. City once again starting from the back here with Laporte now to João Cancelo. Still over on that left-hand side. Back to Laporte. Stepping forward here, Brentford trying to play quite a high offside line as well, which is not a bad idea. But the problem is we've seen it a few times from Brentford this season, particularly with captain Pontus Jansson. He does just let that line go a little bit askew, and sometimes it does put far too many players into an onside position. But for the time being, City forced to go back towards the halfway line again. João Cancelo now square to Rodrigo. Is Stones on the right-hand side. Foden's calling for it at the edge of the area. Stones finds Foden. Back to goal. Now plays it out towards Mahrez. Got 4 players in the penalty area. Mahrez puts across it. Oh, it's nutmegged. Ethan Pinnock. Raya with the save. A follow-up effort goes way over the bar there from João Cancelo. But very close there, City to taking the lead. Yeah,
most dangerous ball that's gone into the Brentford penalty area tonight. Mahrez does put a ball in. It does take a slight deflection and then goes through the legs of Pinnock. David Raya with a vital hand sort of scooped it away from Sterling, who was ready to tap it in the far post, and then Roerslev got out and just blocked just put off Cancelo, who fired over the crossbar.
Yes, he's had he's made a few mistakes like that this season, Ethan Pinnock, where he's just not got his positioning right. A couple of goals I've seen from Brentford have conceded this season where he's just allowed fairly routine balls to bounce in front of him. On that occasion, there was a slight nick as well, as you said, but so he should have done a little bit better, I think, to stop that ball getting through towards his own 6-yard box. As Ryan now clears it up towards the halfway line, over the head of Pinnock, drops back towards Norgard. Bit of a head tennis there, but Brentford come away with it now as Jensen goes back to his fellow compatriot Norgard. Jensen again on the left-hand side, clips the ball over the top. Onyeka had got further forward. It's a header away by Ruben Diaz. Onyeka wins it back for Brentford. Nice spell of possession for Brentford here inside the City half, but then just as I say that, a bit more of a hopeful ball there from Jensen, given away, and now Mahrez tries to get a move started here for City. The ball flicks off Norgard. It almost went through towards Foden, but Jensen going back towards Raya, and a clearance now from Raya's distribution again. Their size letting Brentford down here.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to be able to hit it cleanly. A few have come off the outside of his boot one way. He's been under-hitting passes going in the other direction. Just doesn't seem to have his timing kicking off the ground tonight.
Yes, he just needs to get that sharp here, because on a couple of occasions pretty much given the ball back to Manchester City. Onyeka there giving the free kick away. And Rodrigo now over towards the right-hand side for De Bruyne. Stones stepping forward, gets all the way to the edge of the penalty area. Out wide now towards Mahrez, been stood up here by Henry. Back to De Bruyne. First time cross towards the back post. It's over the head of Sterling. Cancelo still keeps it in play for Manchester City. Tries to drop a shoulder and get away from Roerslev, but he isn't able to do that. Goes back towards Rodrigo. His cross into the penalty area is volleyed clear. Back up towards the halfway line. Well, City are knocking on the door, but so far Brentford, by and large, are coping with it.
I think they are, yeah. I think, the defensive line is holding up pretty well. City are trying to switch the play quite a lot, but the fullbacks have got help inside, and they're defending their sort of zones pretty well.
Well, that's a good ball, though, from Foden into the penalty area. De Bruyne had started to move just outside the box. Made a quick 1-2, and then Foden tried to play it back to the Belgian. Ayer is there, though, and it's out for a corner kick to City. You can see Mahrez is not hanging around. He wants to take this corner kick quickly. So in a strange sort of way, even if Canos is too close, it just means that it takes a little bit longer for that corner kick to be taken. It means that the Brentford defenders can get organised inside the penalty area. Bruyne stepped away now, so it is going to be Mahrez swinging it in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Header away by Pinnock. Drops to Cancelo. And then he heads it to Sterling, who plays a very high, lofty ball into the box. Only partially cleared with the head of Goros. It's now with Mahrez, trying to get away from Canos. Plays a ball inside now towards Stones. Back to Foden. Foden with the cross into Sterling, who's trying to turn and sort of volley that towards goal. It would have been a spectacular finish from Sterling if he'd have pulled it off, but it goes over the bar.
Yeah, just they just patiently worked the situation there, Man City, and they got that overload. It was at the back post where I think Ayer had been sort of drawn infield. Henry, who was marking at that far post zone on the original corner, had stayed there, but he was forced further wide because of Bernardo's presence, and Sterling was unmarked. And he should do better. Is the best chance of the game, and really should be at least getting it on target.
I think looking at that replay, he probably had time to just maybe take it down. The way he was trying to finish it would have been a very elaborate finish. But Onyeka does well here to control the ball after a long clearance from Raya. It's now with Roerslev on the right-hand side. Ayer tried to find Onyeka, who'd carried on his run, but that's cleared away by Rodrigo. And Sterling trying to get there ahead of Norgard. Norgard slides in, but he actually missed the ball altogether, and Sterling can bring it out here for City. Plays it square to Rodrigo, who fires an early ball out towards Mahrez. Mahrez breaking into the penalty area. It's a tight angle. He plays it back towards the edge of the box. It just gets away from Foden. No one from City there at the edge of the D. And Brentford break out now with Canos. His ball is just behind Godos. Going back towards Matthias Jensen now. Norgard back to Jensen. And played back over towards Pinnock and Janssen. Brentford just trying to see a little bit more of the ball. They're just looking a little bit more comfortable. They're not trying to clear it long, but just as I say that, Roerslev gives it away there. Needed Ayer sliding in, and then a strong header there from Pontus Janssen, crashing into the back of Phil Foden.
I thought he won the ball, to be honest. The referee's seen it the other way, though. Foden hits the deck hard after the challenge, but he's just won the header. He's won the header.
I think that what the referee didn't like is there's a bit of an elbow. I mean, he hasn't got his elbow out, but I think he was just perhaps using his body a little bit too much there. And, I say Darren England seemed very convinced that was a free kick. I thought that Janssen had got up and won the header, but Brentford trying to set up as high as they can here. City with this free kick over on the left-hand side. It's about 40 yards out. Brentford's offside line is outside the D here, so they're making it as narrow as they can here for Manchester City. But Darren England now signalling for this free kick to be taken. It's De Bruyne's ball in, headed down by Diaz, and then a strike. Oh, it's just wide. Aymeric Laporte with the finish just wide. If that had dropped to a more attack-minded player, I think City would be 1-0 up now. So.
Yeah, or if it had dropped his left foot, because he's had to go with his right here. The first control, he's just onside, controls with his chest, and then tries to pull a trigger with his right foot and just puts it wide.
Just wide there from Laporte. It's actually still quite a good strike from Laporte, even though it is on his weaker right foot. And again, Brentford seemed to be well organised for the initial free kick, but then when that header came across, the offside line was already a little bit off. And it meant that had that got in, it certainly would have counted. Long clearance now from Riyad, scooped up in the air by Rico Henry. Onyeka heads it on, but it's to no Brentford player at all. And now João Cancelo plays it forward to Roerslev, who hooks it away from Raheem Sterling. And that should be a free kick to Brentford. There wasn't much of a push there from Cancelo, but on the grounds of the referee being consistent, he gave that free kick a moment ago there for City. And now it's a free kick to Brentford on the halfway line. Yeah,
we've seen quite a few referees this season, allow a little bit of physical contact in games. This referee seems to not. This referee tonight seems to be one who will, happily give free kicks when there's, just a little bit of contact in a contested aerial sort of duel.
It's a shame, really, because I think that the memo was during the Euros, wasn't it, last summer, where the referees were told to just allow a little bit more contact, and players have gotten onto that quickly, and the game has just become that little bit more physical at times. But as you say, the referee this evening just pulling up on a couple of very small decisions there. But City trying to play out from the back, caught in possession there, Riyad Mahrez by Matthias Jensen. Godos is away now down the left-hand side into a bit of a cul-de-sac there and just plays that straight to Mahrez. And now a chance here for City to break out. Rodrigo loses footing. He wasn't fouled. The ball drops to Jensen. He tries to shoot from the edge of the area. Then there's a bit of confusion there between Ruben Diaz and Ederson. Ederson was diving at the feet of Ruben Diaz to scoop the ball up. Diaz didn't see him there, and he kicks it out for a corner. Yeah,
a little bit of panic. I mean, panic might be a slight overreaction there to what happened. The ball broke off Foden, and then Diaz was expecting Ederson to come. He was coming, but Diaz just decided to take the matter into his own hands and clear, even though there was nobody in a Brentford shirt near him. So that was a little bit of pressure maybe from the previous attack getting to Diaz there. Anyway, it's Brentford's first corner of the game, and now we'll see what tricks Thomas Frank has up his sleeve in terms of an attacking corner.
Well, they've flooded the 6-yard box, that's for sure, so they're trying to make it as difficult as possible for Ederson to make a decision. The ball is swung to the edge of the 6-yard box, it drops to Onyeka, who heads it towards goal, but it's a looping header and it's a standing save there from Ederson. What was interesting was in the build-up to that corner, David Raya ran all the way to the halfway line to speak to one of the coaches just by the dugout there. It didn't look like he was complaining about an injury, but he wasn't happy about something to their side.
No, who knows? We'll have to just wait and see on that issue. It didn't look to me, like I say, to be an injury. He's not been showing any signs of an injury. The camera's usually quite quick to pick up on things like that as well.
I wonder maybe if there was a tactical thing that he was unhappy about, just trying to get a message over to Thomas Frank and the coaching staff. But City come again now with De Bruyne. Space here for Mahrez down the right-hand side. Been closed down by Henry. Goes back to De Bruyne. De Bruyne tries to put a cross in. Good header away by Ayer. And then headed away from the penalty area by Sam Godos. It's with Ruben Diaz now. Over to Aymeric Laporte, around about the halfway line here. 38 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. It's still goalless between Manchester City and Brentford. Only game in the Premier League this evening to still be goalless. It is still Norwich 1, Crystal Palace 0, Spurs 1, Southampton 1, and Aston Villa 0, Leeds United 1. Those are the other latest scores. Here comes City now with Mahrez. Left-footed cross, diving header there from Pontus Jansson. He seems to have got hurt in the process of that header as well, as Canos now tries to bring it away for Brentford. Gets it all wrong, though, runs straight into Cancelo, and now Sterling can bring the ball away. Roerslev slides in, and he's given away a penalty. It's a silly challenge there from Roerslev, really. And on 39 minutes, City with a golden chance to take the lead.
Yeah, Brentford weren't set, were they, when that ball was lost by Canos? It's Canos' mistake, really, that's conceded this penalty rather than Roerslev. Roerslev makes a poor challenge, admittedly, but he's really given little option there because Sterling going on the outside of him. The defence wasn't set after Canos stupidly lost the ball on the edge of his own penalty area.
So, yeah, disappointing moment there for Brentford. That's the problem, isn't it? When you're at the Etihad Stadium, you can play well for 38 minutes, be well organised, clear everything that comes forward. But then it only takes one error there. Canos just dawdling with the ball at the edge of the box. And then, as you said, Brentford weren't in the right position there to try and deal with that ball coming back into the penalty area. Darren England just making sure that David Raya is behind his line here. It's going to be Riyad Mahrez to take the penalty. About 5 minutes before half-time. A great opportunity now for City. Really have dominated in terms of possession since the start of this game. So it is Mahrez against Raya. Mahrez traditionally doesn't take too much of a run-up, just 3 or 4 steps from the Algerian international. Mahrez steps up and he sends Raya the wrong way. It's a confident penalty from Riyad Mahrez. The Manchester City take the lead.
Yeah, buried it top corner, goalkeeper's right-hand side. Raya, I think, was trying to wait as long as possible. Didn't want to sort of dive early and sell himself, and he just sort of went quite centrally. Really didn't really get across to one side or the other. Well, he's gone eventually to the left-hand side, and the ball was fired into the top right-hand corner. Really good penalty there.
I just wonder if Raya guesses right. I'm not sure he saves that. It really was very well placed there by Mahrez. Just opens up the body there, curling effort into that top corner. Pep Guardiola. Just a round of applause, but from a seated position there, you'll say that his side have been a value for that lead because of the effort they put in since the start of the game. Brentford will be disappointed to have conceded in the manner that they did. But we've got around 4.5 minutes before we hit injury time in this first half. Man City now leading with that Riyad Mahrez penalty. Brentford going straight back to Raya, who clears it long, looking for Sam Ghoddos. It's over his head though, and out for a throw to City down the right-hand side. I suppose the question now is, do Brentford have a plan B?
I don't think you go to plan B now. I think you stick with plan A. It's not disastrous what's happened there. It was just one little individual error. The actual game plan as such, to try and stop Man City's usual threat, which is get the ball wide, get good cutbacks into the penalty area. They've done really well at that. It's just one little individual error, but I think stick with the game plan until say City go 2 or 3-0 up, then maybe they might need to change it then.
Absolutely. For the time being, it's normal service resumed here at the Etihad with City. Plenty of possession inside the Brentford half. De Bruyne, though, just overplays that slightly. Runs into Jensen. He then goes to Ghoddos. Back to Jensen. And a ball over the top now. Canos sort of leaves that for Onyeko. Hits it on the run. Don't know how much intent there was there from Canos to stop that with his back, but it ended up being a good setup there for Onyeko. Hit it on the run, but it's a long way wide in the end. Yeah,
Canos doesn't really go for the ball there. He's dived, he's jumped into to Laporte. Another referee, and I'm surprised this one didn't see it, to be honest, as a foul by Canos. And the ball's broken to Onyeko, who's just hit it on the sort of rise, not been able to control it particularly well, and it's gone wide of target, but it will count as a shot in the end for Brentford. I just wonder whether Canos had fouled Laporte just prior to it.
I think there certainly might have been an argument for that. Had that gone in from Onyeka, the VAR may have well looked at that. But Stones now just slips as the ball is played to him, and Henry gets it off him. It's a quick one too. We've got a Henry into the penalty area, and I think Edison's been struck there by Canos as Henry's effort was saved by the goalkeeper, and it's going to be a free kick to Man City.
Yep, things happening. Manchester City, lack of concentration. Rather hospital pass to Stones, who slipped as he took it on his chest. Henry was on that touch, gets a nice 1-2 back from Ghoddos, and then I think he's trying to pass it. He's not going for goal. He tries to pass it to the far post, and he does see him coming though.
I think the ball's just got under his foot a little bit there. But from my view, I think he should be shooting from where he is.
And then the question of whether Canos has actually fouled Edison or whether it's accidental contact. Referees are such a protected breed, and we've seen one controversial decision already this season about whether the goalkeeper had the grip on the ball or not before it was scored from. I mean, obviously that didn't actually result in a goal, but has the referee blown up a bit too early there? Maybe should have let it just develop a little.
I just wonder. I think from the referee's point of view, he would get out of it by saying that even if it's not a foul, he thought it was a head injury for Edison, so he should be stopping play anyway. But no, I agree. I think that certainly there was a time, I think it's been sort of eroded away a little bit now, but there certainly was a period where it was almost assumed that if a goalkeeper dropped a cross, it must be because somebody's fouling him or pushing him, and there was a little bit too much protection for goalkeepers. I think on that occasion, perhaps the referee just jumping in a little bit too soon. But they are checking Ederson's neck here as well. It's Zach Steffen, who is the sub-keeper for City.
You tell me here, Paul, who actually fouls Ederson? Is it the Brentford player, or is it his own defender?
Well, I mean, there's a bit of... Canos does go into Ederson, but Laporte is there as well. We'll see from this close-up replay now, as Henry plays this ball across.
Who knocks the ball out of the keeper's hand? Because I don't think... I mean, I agree Canos is in there, and he might have slightly contacted the keeper, but the ball gets knocked out of his hand by his own defender.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that certainly if that ball had just stayed live and then been tapped into an empty net, then I think VAR would be doing overtime to try and work out what was happening with that one.
Yeah, doing overtime to try and cancel the goal, no doubt. But it doesn't matter. It's still 1-0. We've got a bit of injury time to play at the end of the first half. Ederson is back on his feet, thankfully for him. The tattooed Brazilian seems to have shrugged off whatever knock it was he took there in that last incident. Aston Villa have just equalised against Leeds. That is 8 o'clock kickoff, so that's just midway through the first half.
Absolutely. Dan James with the goal for Leeds, and now Felipe Coutinho with the goal for Aston Villa. I think it's a real coup for Villa that they got Coutinho, though he's had a couple of difficult years at Barcelona. There's certainly no doubting his quality. As Onyeka goes forward for Brentford, dispossessed at the edge of the area. Now there's a bit of a collision there as Roerslev goes into João Cancelo. And that will be a free kick to City. We're into injury time, just a couple of minutes of it now. So just about 90 seconds to go here in this first half. City with the 1-goal lead. Certainly won't be satisfied with that. They'll be looking to try and increase that in the second half. But a few glimmers for Brentford that they perhaps can unsettle Man City a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the way they're set up, they don't necessarily need a great deal of quality about the forward passes, because Man City will, essentially they'll have 2-on-2 back there, or maybe, if Rodri sits deep, 3-on-2, because those fullbacks are going to be, so far up the pitch for Manchester City that any ball up there for those two front players, if they can make that ground, is going to leave, Brentford, with a possibility of getting a little bit of an overload there.
Well, we've just got about a minute of injury time to play, but it's City going forward here now with João Cancelo, and he spots the runner Sterling. That's a great ball. Sterling stops inside the 6-yard box, rolls it back to Foden, and then it's quickly cleared away from Christopher Ajer back towards the halfway line. But City one pass away from being 2-0 up there. Yeah,
Sterling doesn't do one or the other, does he? He doesn't shoot, and he doesn't pass the ball inside to a teammate. He just stops the ball and then delays too long. He passes it inside, but it's by that time Brentford have got bodies back.
Is Laporte, though, finding De Bruyne at the edge of the area, playing a quick 1-2 with Sterling. Sterling then runs straight into Onyeka. Canos clips that ball away from his own penalty area, but then City win it straight back. And Rodrigo now finds João Cancelo. Perhaps time for one more attack here for City. João Cancelo's ball stopped by Sterling. Stopped by Roerslev, I should say, and Sterling then able to pick it up for Manchester City. He goes back towards Rodrigo. Square now to John Stones. Space here for Mahrez down the right-hand side, but he's closed down quickly. That will be the last action of this first half at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City lead Brentford by a 1-0 after a Riyad Mahrez penalty. And myself and Si will be back for you in 15 minutes.